based in the UK?
Okay, so we're live now.
We're live now, and no, I'm not in the UK. I'm in Portugal. Just so
Yeah.
everybody in the world knows now.
Okay, so welcome to this third conversation of WEYU Academy. We're very happy to have so many knowledgeable people together today. We're happy to have Chris today that will introduce himself in a while. Our topic is aiming to welcome more Web2 brands to transition into Web3, as we generally believe that this is the future. It would be for all. We can all add value. And the most important thing is that we feel welcome to it. And that's why we brought these very amazing, knowledgeable people to share with us tips and tricks and challenges on how to come into this space. So let's start there. As we were talking when we came live, so I'll start with Chris. Meet Chris. Welcome to the conversation from
Hello.
Portugal.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Share with us a little bit of yourself, please.
Super. All right. Well, I'm Chris. I'm one of the co-founders of the project WEYU, which is a open inclusive network for Web3 and NFTs. We're building educational platforms and also have many no-code toolings for people to tap into and experiment with Web3 without having to worry about smart contracts and all of the things that are behind the tech. Also co-founder of Effect.ai, which is a microtasking platform that works very closely with people all over the globe to pay out in cryptocurrency transactions for small data structuring tasks, and also working on lots of stuff in the Twitter space, and yeah, just full-time Web3.
Amazing, Chris. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. The next person is very, very special because she's also WEYU ambassador, and she has been in this journey even longer than I have genuinely. So very happy to have you here, Nova. Thank you so much, and welcome to introduce yourself.
Yeah, and great to see all these wonderful faces. Sharad, Akina, we've been on this journey for a while. Chris, good to see you again too. I'm excited to be here as part of WEYU Academy. I am all things Web3 now as well, joining everyone here on the Web3 train. But yeah, I've been in the space actively since 2017. Started actually investing in crypto, then started day trading in 2020. And I'm grateful for that experience because it really led me down the rabbit hole of white papers. And I've read more white papers than I can even think about right now. But learning about the different protocols and blockchains really, brought my attention to this is a paradigm shift that we're in. These are the building blocks of what will be the future of how we engage and transact and interact with each other. And that led me to climb the mountaintop to tell everyone that would listen about the train being in the station. And just, as someone who's focused on mindfulness, as someone who's passionate about education and access, as a creative myself, I'm a fashion designer, writer, podcaster, speaker, ambassador. I felt that it was important to have a perspective that is unique from this point of view of being a builder in the space and a creator in this space, to show others that they can participate in any way that they feel makes sense for them. Beyond being all things Web3 in terms of advisor and strategist and all the things I mentioned, I'm also leading some personal projects. One is with NASA Tech and Virginia Tech, and that includes data visualization, AI, fashion, and art. So stay tuned. That's under the House of Nova. And then also leading a build out of a bespoke metaverse where we also believe in education, onboarding women, asset ownership, and that is Lore, LORR. And we focus on storytelling as well. So that is a little bit about me. Beyond that, I'm a big nerd. I love to read. I love chocolate. I'm a mom of 4, and I'm very proud to have been born in Jamaica. So I'm also Jamaican.
Wow, I don't know how you do it. Every time I hear all you do, I'm like, so much to learn, so much to do. I admire you deeply. Also, the first time I knew about Nova was also because of Unless You're Supernova, which inspires us all to trust our purpose, to trust our feelings. I'm on that road as well. So thank you so much for existing. this next woman that is going to introduce herself also has taught me so much, and she cares so much about people. Welcome, Akina. Thank you for being part of this conversation.
Hi, thank you so much, Daniela. I'm so happy to be here. After listening to Nova, I don't know where to start. So I'm like, so I'm that baby in the Web3 space out of all you guys. I became active just beginning of 2022. Before I was totally immersed into Web 2. I'm a digital transformation person helping Web 1, Web 2 become Web 2 company, you know, and totally fit for this subject. How do you bring people like me or a company who are still stuck in Web 1 and Web 2 to Web 3? It's not easy. But one thing I'm really happy and glad is that my journey started meeting Sharad and Layla on a conference. And like the culture that you guys all helped build was really open and said, come on, learn and build with us because we're also new. And I love that attitude. That attitude does not exist in Web 2. You have to be pretty much perfect to lead, right? And we know that doesn't exist, a perfect person. And in Web 2, there is no excuse for mistakes, or failure. So it's a very harsh environment, and the Web3, at least the environment I'm in. Well, now I'm in a couple of different group, and I realize All Star Women, Meta Shapers, and and what you built, Web Women in Web2 travel. That it's amazing, very open, very inclusive. I joined another crypto group recently. I have to talk about this because it has all about the culture of adapting Web3. Like a bunch of people, women and men, immediately attacked me because they called me out and said, "What are you doing here, Akina?" Because I'm pretty famous in the Web2 space, and they're like, "Aren't you in Web2? What are you doing in a Web3 chat group?" So that was the attack, and I had to defend myself. So that was fun, and I don't realize that still exists even in Web3. But I'm so glad that the community we're in and you guys are building is very different, and I'm really happy and proud and also lucky, I believe in, to be part of it. And I mean it.
Oh, that's so kind. And I really appreciate it because that's all about transitioning into Web3 as well. It's not just, I always say, in Distinct, whatever or wherever you hear me, it's not about the technology. It is a lot about that, but it's mostly about the people and the vibes that we're trying to change with more empathic values. And a legend around that is the next guy that will talk, which is Sharad, who has brought us together in many ways. Sharad, welcome to the conversation. Very, very happy to see you here.
Likewise, Daniela, and it's nice to be with friends once again. I'm meeting Chris for the first time, but happy to meet you, Chris. Nova and Akina are family,
Yeah.
and Daniela is my, what should I say, bestie, if that's a good description. So yeah, my background is very simple. I'm based in Dubai, which clearly is the place to be in present times, I believe. A lot of action happening in Dubai. We had 9 conferences in October relating to Web3, Metaverse, and NFTs. So clearly, the whole seismic shift is happening as we speak. 1,200 new companies got trade licenses in the crypto domain in the last 7, 8 months of this year. So a little bit about what I do. My day job is a company called Cyber Gear. It's a agency I started in '96. So I'm basically like a dinosaur in the room, Web one guy. 26 years in the space. Uh, Around 2010, I got into the Web2 space in a big way, started doing AI, big data solutions, and only towards I guess, end of last year, transitioned to Web3. So we are learning together. We do host of activities. Some of you are familiar with onlywebinars.com, which is something I started 2 years back. And we've done 64 webinars, have a community of 16,000 plus and growing. So that's a very gratifying kind of activity that I'm involved in. Other than that, yeah, been on the speaker circuit for a while and just got back from NFT London. after meeting in real life for the first time, Nova, Lauren, Daniela, and so many other friends. So yeah, so those are experiences I guess we live for. And yeah, it's an amazing community, amazing times, amazing journey. So that's really it. That's my introduction.
Amazing introduction as well. Thank you so much. On my side, once again, I'm Daniela C. Merlano. I'm a voice of a mindful Web3, head of WEYU Academy, and more than happy to help more Web2 brands and people transition to Web3 in a safe space. So going there, I think one of the things I've loved the most of being part of this transition myself is the passion around it. And I feel that to make Web3 more welcoming to Web2 builders as well is to talk about that passion. So I would just like to you guys explain to us what is that thing that made you feel more passionate about transitioning into Web3. Maybe I'd love maybe Chris to start on this. I don't hear you. I'm not sure if it's just me.
I knew that was going to happen. I muted just in case of
There you
background
go.
sound, and I knew it. I had my finger on the button. I took it off for 1 second, and then you called my name. So I got into the space in 2016, and due to the fact I was moving from Australia to the Netherlands, and the whole banking system, I was thinking I have a business that's running here. I need to get cash over to the Netherlands, and thinking about the migration that I have to do with my wife and my kids, and then also having to deal with the banking stuff. I had found Bitcoin, a few months earlier, and I thought, well, this is a great way. I'll convert all of my cash here to Bitcoin, and then it'll just come with me to the Netherlands. So I got in that way. And from there on, I aligned with some Web2 companies that were building products and services. They were old friends of mine that I've met along my many journeys. And I was really into trading cryptocurrencies at that time. And same thing with Nova, reading these white papers, trying to figure out what they're really doing, figuring out that it's not Satoshi Nakamoto behind all of these projects. It's actually people. They have social media accounts. They're humans. And that was really intriguing to me. And then alignment with this Web2 brand that was building platforms, we kind of merged. And at that point is when I really figured out the power of what blockchain can actually do. I was able to get my funds from Australia to the Netherlands. With microtransactions on the blockchain, there were some solutions that were coming out that made it very cost effective to send smaller amounts to people. And so we built a platform called Effect Force, and that was basically a global network of human beings all over the world. As long as they had access to the internet, they could earn money for doing small tasks on the computer, labeling data and structuring and cleaning data sets. Very simple work. And and that's when it blew my mind being able to touch so many people. We had about 10, 15,000 people on day one join that from 126 countries or something like like almost the whole planet. We had people representing on our network. And then I aligned with the United Nations, and like my life became this weird dream that I couldn't believe, touching so many people, working with the United Nations. And from that point on, I've been working with the United Nations refugees, implementing Web3 across so many different places, really with an inclusive mindset to make sure that this technology gets into the hands of the people that actually need it the most. Not the profiteers, but the people that in nations that I really truly believe can leapfrog with all the turmoil of all the greed and stuff going on, can actually leapfrog and create lots of opportunities that Web2 was supposed to bring to these people. So that's my passion, just bringing it to the people that need it the most.
Thank you, love it. I share that passion. Everybody here knows that. Nova, let us know what made you feel passionate about transitioning to Web3.
Yeah, thanks, Daniela. And Chris, thanks for sharing that. That reminded me of our first conversation. I was like, yeah, that's right. Like, you guys were killing it early on with what you were doing with the UN. So that was one of the things that really jumped out at me as well. I'm, as Sharad was saying, Akina, super deep in Web2. Not too long ago, I'm a fashion designer, and it doesn't get more Web2 than that if you're doing couture, especially. So that was my world that led me to launching Rain Magazine. And I have to say, I've always been a futurist. I have a love of history, but I like to look for what's coming, and how can you bring the two together to create the most impactful present moment experience. And so for me, Rain was my way of giving back to the creative community as a fashion designer, as a mother, as, you know, an immigrant. You know, how can I provide a platform, a media platform that focused on great storytelling, that focused on true quality products and or services, and the people, most importantly, the people behind them. And you didn't need deep pockets, you didn't need connections, you just had your, you know, as I had when I came into New York City with my dream and my perfect business plan. Ignorance is bliss. You know, if they had a great story and a great product that could, you know, sit next to the big guys and one day be that big guy, that's who we were interested in covering. So Rain was born 15 years ago, not minutes ago, but 15 years ago. And it expanded into a podcast network as we saw audio dominating the media space, and a book, as you mentioned, Unleash Your Supernova, with a podcast. So I was deep in Web2. And, you know, I feel that, you know, I've always been consulting and advising, you know, alongside my creative businesses, you know, so for 2 decades, you know, consulting in Web2, advising founders, city governments, the federal government, lots of product launches and campaigns. But when I realized what was happening around these tools, you know, AR, AI, blockchain, especially around these Web3 tools, it was apparent that how we would do business, how we would educate, be educated, how we would entertain and be entertained was going to be radically shifted. And I was so excited. And partly one was, ooh, I could tokenize couture. I could bring awareness to artisans that, you know, people don't even know about, all this, you know, amazing skill sets and legacy skills that are being passed from generation to generations. Of course, I'm the storyteller, so that's what I was all into. But then also creating a new economy around fashion that hadn't been realized before. But then it expanded beyond that. When I saw how big the shift was and how creatives for the first time could take advantage of these tools and create something to sustain themselves. And that's why I created Rain. You know, that's why I was doing what I decided to do in fashion. I shifted from, you know, clinical psychology, getting my master's en route to getting my PhD, to fashion. Why? Because I wanted to help people through my love of creativity. And so here are these tools. Here's this new paradigm where creators and creatives can build without compromising themselves, compromising their values, compromising their mental health, and then, you know, creating a financial, platform for themselves as well. And so, you know, at the end of the day, we all want to do what we love, right? Like, we talk about mental health, we talk about wellness, we talk about, you know, travel, food. Why? Because what we love fills our well. And when that well is overflowing, others benefit. We benefit and others benefit. And so if we are now stepping into a space where we have the opportunity to allow as many people as possible to do what they love, like, wouldn't you shout at the top of the mountains as well? And so that was why I decided to take that chance and radically shift my focus in terms of advising and strategizing, in terms of building and playing with these tools, you know, blockchain, DAOs, decentralized organizations, crypto, AI, you know, and art and data. And I was far from that a few years ago. If you told me that I'd be dabbling with the tools, not just writing about them in Rain magazine, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Because I'm super mindful and I love nature and I love being outside and I love being around people. But this space is going to touch all of our lives. And the more people we have, the more perspectives we have, you know, on the ground, building and creating and reaching our hand out to bring as many people on the train as possible that want to be on the train. I don't think everyone needs to be on the train, but that want to be a part of this new frontier and creating a more positive, impactful future for generations that will be coming well beyond the time that we're here. That's why I decided to transition. I'm passionate about people, helping people be happy, do what they love, have their dreams come true. I know it sounds like la la la, but that's what motivates me. That's what inspires me. And I could do it through the mediums I have access to, you know, may it be podcasts or magazines or fashion or books, whatever. I just want to touch people's lives and make a positive impact. And I feel Web3 is giving us all here the opportunity to do that.
Wow, so impactful. And I think I spotted, just from the things you both said, 6 reasons why it feels so passionate to be in Web3, and is the openness, the accessibility, the impact, the innovation, the creativity, and the perspective. These 6 things I just spotted what you said are huge reasons on why it feels such an evolution to open ourselves to learn about Web3 in the most friendly way we can, and understanding that it is for all. All brands and all people are welcome to this transition, because, as Nova says, it's going to touch all of us in such meaningful ways. And because of that, and I'll pop here the next question to give the voice to Akin and Sharad as well. I think all those sixes are true. The most important thing is, once you start and through the journey, to do it mindfully and to ask yourself a couple of questions before you go in. Now that we have a little bit more of information and resources to educate ourselves, and, as they say, do our own research when transitioning as well. So the next question is, what are the main questions that Web2 should be asking themselves first when thinking of transitioning into Web3? What are those key aspects? And I know Sharad and Akina have lots of experience bringing brands into this space. I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, before I quit my full-time job, I used to be head of digital transformation and innovation for a very traditional Web1 conglomerate, global conglomerates. So at that time, bringing them, like AI, facial recognition, object recognitions, RPAs, drones and stuff into the business was like, wow, are you teaching us French, right? And then they, even at stuff today, a lot of companies in the same industry that I was in before still do not use e-commerce. Just give you it in perspective. And the reason why they don't want to use e-commerce is because they think e-commerce would kill their current revenue in Web 1. So I don't want to name that industry. So for those who know what industry I'm talking about, they should know. And that is what the major fear of all Web 2 companies. They're afraid, especially we have to admit, the people who is managing Web 2 companies right now, all done successfully through what they know in Web 1. And they're mainly in very senior age. They're used to a true power, right? And now you're telling them that the way you're doing things, running business, is not efficient, is old school, or not bringing in the maximum revenue you can, and not maximize potential of your core business. It's not something easy to swallow, right? And then you teach them French and Italian and German of all this new tech and all these things. They don't get it. So so imagine now you're teaching them to speak Martian language, right? Beyond Earth, according to the Web3. What do you mean crypto? That's not real money. What do you mean metaverse? That's not real living, right? NFT, that's not real thing. So everything in Web3 is not real to them. So they don't believe in it. And one of the shocking experience I did was before I left my Web2, Web1 company, I was building them a Web 2.5 to Web3 business. And during COVID, during lockdown, the business was growing organically about 46% month on month for 9 months organically. No fund, no marketing, no staff. It just kind of grew on its own in a very makeshift platform. It was very hard for people to explain why the traditional business was falling, when this small little business is growing, when both of them are in the same situation, COVID, lockdown, people can't go to restaurant, can't travel. So, and then I realized accepting Web3 can only be possible within any Web2 company if the senior management board, people in power, realize they need Web3 to save their ass. Excuse my. Okay. So basically, if they don't acknowledge it, that what they're currently doing is not the best for the company, they don't have the best channel technology method to retain the current existing customer or acquire new customer, they will never change. They will not dabble in Web3. at all. So, for example, there was a project that I was kind of like indirectly being consulted for a hotel chain. They want to use NFT to sell room tickets. Incorrect. Because it was an idea proposed by an NFT company. Of course, NFT wants, huge brand to use NFT to sell things to prove their case, right? But it doesn't make sense because the vendor didn't understand hotel business. When you sell NFT as a ticket for a room, what happens is when you sell it in the secondary market, it affects the room rate. Supposed to be cheaper, right? Can't go up because I can buy cheaper on booking.com and go.com. So why would I buy an NFT? First mistake. Second mistake. A lot of people who are buying tickets or rooms and stuff online for hotels, 95% of the people do not have a crypto wallet. And you want them to download MetaMask and everything to buy an NFT for them to buy a booking ticket would never happen. To just go online and buy the damn hotel room, right? So excuse my German right there. And so, and then the third and most important thing, companies ask them before they go to Web3, what is my core value of my business that I am trying to promote or enter into a brand new market I'm not in? Because regardless, believe it or not, Web3 people and Web2 people are two different type of people. Okay? You're thinking you own 95% of your Web2 client? Sure, if you believe it. But in the Web3, no one may not even heard of your name. So they have to say, what is my core value and what is the product I'm bringing into Web3, a new market? Are these, and how do I position myself? So when I was talking to the hotel and I said, what is your core value besides beautiful hotel name, besides beautiful hotels and good location? They said, well, our heritage, right? Most of our properties are built 100 years ago, 50 years ago. Great. We have a lot of movie stars, celebrities who performed in a hotel that died a long time. Great. Those are core value of your hotel that no one can replace. Those you can do NFTs on and sell it as collectibles, right? And with these collectibles, you can add utility, saying that if you own this collections of maybe sketches of our building 100 years ago, right? Architectural pictures, drawings, and stuff like that before electricity comes and everything like that, you get to go to a launch party where we bring all the 1900s, memorabilia, architecture, arts to show in this party. Great. Don't sell 1,000, sell 20, sell 50. Make it easy. Don't force them to buy it. Open a MetaMask. Sell it with a credit card. That's what they all have. Make it easy. Expand your core value into new audience, and to educate. But one thing, what I what really say is like about storytelling. The artifact of your NFT, of your collectibles, of all these core value of your hotel, your heritage, paints a story of history of celebrities, personalities, cultures that went through these years. Sell that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real case you can do. And then you do first iteration because you have so many hotels, you have so many sketches. I bet you they have over 10, 20,000. It could be a collections of series. You have different drops in different location, different heritage. You have a global party, a regional party. You add value to that. Bring a whole new group to educate them about your hotels, about your heritage, about what you value. That works with a brand in fashion, with shoes, with furnitures, with anything, records, everything, hotels, you name it, even real estate properties, right? Think in that value. What is your core? How do you market to a new audience with the technology of Web3? So, I mean, it's not, bring science to think like that, but you have to change your mindset to think like that for implementation, right? And to get into 1 feet in the door, not jump the whole body and drown yourself in the swimming pool, right? Test it out, learn from the 20 NFT you drop, launch another one, and say, what did we do wrong? What did we do right? Improve it. And it has to be part of your long-term strategy. You can treat it as a campaign, but you're throwing money into the big ocean. You're gonna get it back. Campaigns will only get you beep of a PR notice, but it doesn't help you long-term business strategy and your long-term business growth, which is tremendous, knowing that what trillions of dollars potential in the Web3 space for metaverse and NFTs and stuff like that, think big. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, that was great. Thank you for the showcase and for showing you showing us your experience. Welcome to French. Very authentic. And I believe that's something that I'd like to double click on with Sharad here. It's something that for me is very special because it all comes back to the values. It all comes back to what's the added value and your company's values that you want to showcase with the new technologies. Um, and I feel that's one of the most important what Web2 companies should be asking themselves. So if I go back to our mission, how can I represent that mission in a newer generation with a different technological system, but keep that purpose as the most important thing to ask yourselves first. What else would you like to add to this, Sharad, from your experience?
Sure. Okay, so in my opinion, the best thing about Web3 are the people. The people, like I've met the best people in my life in the last 12 months. Okay, and I'm 62 years old, so you can imagine I must have met a lot of people in my life. I had an outer body experience literally 3 days back in NFT London when a 21-year-old futurist approached me. I repeat, 21-year-old futurist. I want to give him a shout out. His name is Alistair Pornigo. Alistair Pornigo. Please Google him or connect with him on LinkedIn ASAP. Because here is a boy who reached out to me during NFT London on LinkedIn and said, he was very respectful. He said, "Sir, could I spend 15 minutes with you?" And I replied, "Sure, but let me find those 15 minutes because, as you know, London NFT was a mad place. We were, fighting for oxygen. But anyway, I did connect with Alistair in the coffee shop. To cut a long story short, I ended up spending 75 minutes with him. And here's the story. Alistair is building a metaverse of senses. Metaverse of senses. So I asked him, so I'm attracted basically by impact entrepreneurs. I don't care about people who say they're going to make money, they're going to have 50% growth. Good for them. My question to young entrepreneurs is, how are you going to change the world? And that's the question I asked Alistair. And Alistair gave me an amazing answer. He said, "Sir, with my technology, I can diagnose any human body within minutes from wherever they are just by the smell of their organs. So, your liver, your kidney, your what have you, he can diagnose with his technology." And he showed me a couple of video clips. He showed me some POCs, some white papers, some press that he's got. Mind you, I'm talking to a 21-year-old,
Wow.
right? Alistair Pornigo. Please connect with him. Please support him. And my support to him is that I've recently got involved to be a custodian of a fund. And I have promised him in principle that I'll do my best to support him in helping him go to the next level because he's at a POC stage. He needs to take it to market. And I hope in the next few weeks, I'll be able to share with all of you in the room and with a wider audience the fact that we'll be there to take him on his journey. And that's just one of the 21-year-old story. There are so many more. Yesterday in a conference in Dubai, I met my old friend Emmanuel Cusada, who's 24 something, who's again built Utopia to keep people safe in the metaverse. So I asked Emmanuel, how's it going? He says, now we are looking at solving the interoperability problem in the metaverse. And I said, how so? He says, we are building a currency, new currency for the metaverse. and then an exchange, and then that's how people on different platforms will connect. The reason I'm giving you these real life experiences is that we have to have faith in the Gen Z. Our future is in good hands, and these guys are more than passionate about what they're doing. They are putting in the long hours. They are not about monetizing. They don't care for the money. They just want to solve a big problem, and they believe in transhumanism, which is basically the concept that technology can solve any problem on the planet. So yeah, so that's my take on the good side of Web3, and that's where people can create the biggest impact.
Very interesting. And taking that into the what Web2 brands should be asking themselves when or before transitioning to Web3, I would add there the whatever you're doing now you have the time to ask yourself, how can you build that to solve a bigger problem and to do greater impact with Web3, because it's possible to like make that evolution. And the second take on your examples for that any company can ask themselves before transitioning is also, how are you training, or how will you like to train your your internal teams and talent and the younger generations, because they will be the ones taking on that evolution for the company's future. And they're open for it as well. So I think that's brilliant, because sometimes when we think of transitioning, like, it's both sided. So as Akina was saying, and what I'm learning today is the leadership level of the company has to be open enough and creative enough and curious enough to want to learn what is this technology wanting to solve as a tool to place it in the service for the value proposition and the mission of the company. And at the same time, we need them to want to train the younger generations to keep on with that change and also promote that learning for the future, for future purposes. So I think both are highly important. And when planning the strategy on how to transition to Web3, placing that as like asterisks of how are we going to deal with this part of it, it's key. I love to learn also about this from Chris and Nova. I think this question is very important.
Oh, I'll jump in, Nova. Yeah, I think that it's incredibly important for brands or Web2 companies to explore. This is an evolution, right? So talking Web2, Web3, it's all part of the internet, And so I think even calling Web2, Web3, I think you just make this like incredible divide that doesn't really need to be there. It's like, oh my God, there's this big mountain I got to study. And it's like, it's all the same stuff. The infrastructure of all of it is basically the same. And there's this distributed ledger that you're able to track and trace digital assets and attach them to physical things. And the use cases are so plentiful. So I think if you talk to Web2 companies, you say, who are you guys? What do you believe in? And what is your future outlook on the internet? And let's see where we can like experiment with the new things that are here. And then give them those tools to experiment internally and show them kind of where we're at. And I think you'll find that like if you do that and don't, I wouldn't even suggest that they do anything at all until they're so comfortable and inspired to do so, and kind of go with the philosophy of their brands already or their companies, right? All these big companies, they have a process of delivering new features and new products and services. This is no different, and it's not complicated. Like it's so ridiculously easy, and it's funny because like attaching a wallet to a website, you think like, oh, that might be a little bit of a hurdle, but my daughter's playing Roblox and she's playing with like Robux. And that's the exact same thing. And she's managing her own wallet, her own funds, and she's 7. So like we have a few years before like
And how old is she?
it's 7
She's
years
7?
old. So yeah, she's 7. So like this is already happening. And so yeah, for companies, just experiment and have fun, and then ask yourself the question, are you that company that wants to be really innovative and like push the envelope, which means you have risk appetite? Or do you want to just play it safe and see the examples of who's doing what? Nike has jumped onto the scene. What is it, like $140 million in revenue in Web3 alone? Like, it's just like these guys came up. They've always been trendsetters, and now they're there. And so, yeah, experiment, have fun, and don't take it so seriously. It's a very simple thing that you can attach to a bunch of stuff and be inspired by.
Awesome. Yeah, I love everything that was shared, as it relates to Akina, Sharad, and Chris, and to just not duplicate all the incredible information that was already shared. I go back to why. If you're going into Web3, why? And be able to answer that question. What category are you in? Who are your customers? Where are they now as it relates to technology? And, if you're able to deliver value to your core customer, that's what it's about. How are you going to continuously add value, make impact on their lives? And if the Web3 tools may be AI, XR, blockchain, the metaverse, 3D immersive environments, if they're going to continue to deliver value to your core customer, then it's a win, 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 win. Of course, you have the opportunity of PR and marketing. If you have the budget and if you have the right strategists around you, why not? But in terms of your long-term plan, in terms of sustainability, and I'm using sustainability as it relates to longevity, you really have to pick the tool or tools that answer your why and that deliver value. And if you're not doing that, then you're creating a plan to fail. I love the example that Akina had shared regarding the hotel. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of products being pushed due to FOMO. And, I encourage, those founders that are listening, just do a little research, listen to a few podcasts. You have only webinars. You have a lot of content. You have WEYU Academy. You have Crypto for Creatives, my plug, my podcast. Find those individuals that you trust that are sharing information, and maybe reach out to them. Just ask them a quick question. Hey, I have a quick question. What are your thoughts? And then, get some authentic advice, because there are going to be a lot of companies that are going to push, as Sharad said, there are some individuals that are just here for the profit, and that's fine. Everyone has no judgment. Everyone has the right to play the game however they want to play the game. But if you are truly interested in taking part of what the future of the internet is, which is here right now, then you need a plan that's about longevity, that's built on your core values, as Akina said, that is truly making an impact for your core customer, as Sharad said, and echoing everything Chris just shared. So I think if you start with what is your why, and does it go beyond FOMO? Does it go beyond the cool factor? And there are a lot of companies who have benefited from the PR aspect. So that's not to be underestimated. But the key is knowing, just like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, all these, companies came out and as part of the Web2 evolution, and people were like, I don't need a social media account. I don't want to play that game. I don't need to go to e-commerce, as Akina was saying. And guess what? Those tools didn't go away. Social media is still here. And so as we're looking at the next iteration of the internet, these tools are just continuing to advance. And so to stay relevant, to continue to move into the future, you're going to have to look at all the tools in the toolbox and decide, well, maybe it's voice technology that you want to play with. Maybe it's AI art that you want to play with. Maybe it's smart contracts, and it doesn't have to be, a visual NFT like we're seeing. That's a very strong use case. You could sell real estate without a visual NFT. You could sell poetry as a smart contract. So, I would say start with the why and look at what is your longevity plan, your sustainability plan, and make sure that your core customer and their pain points are always being addressed. And that's going to guide you to what tools are the best tools for you. Maybe it's a 3D immersive environment. Maybe it's AR filters. You're going to figure that out by truly delivering value to your customer and answering your why.
Wow, that's so powerful. I agree so much. And from Chris' stories, I thought like, man, when I was 7, the only currency I managed for like the amount of cookies I could eat if I did something good at home. Like I wouldn't manage anything else. And that's such a huge, like, this is to double click on the huge game changing mindset we're building now because of how much information these kids are having on how will that impact when they are adults already, in how they decide and how ready they are to build their own companies, and how will they relate to the world in a way where the physical space where you were born won't be such a huge thing, won't be such a huge difference. That's one of the beautiful things I've had in Web3, and is thanks to Web3, thanks to the metaverse, and thanks to the mindset mostly. I've had the opportunity to speak with people from everywhere in the world, and right now we're in literally 5 different places having this conversation, and that's kids having that from scratch is such an empathy opener that I love hearing about it. And also what Nova was saying, sometimes it feels obvious, but something I feel that is part of the evolution of how we make business now, thanks to a new mindset as well, placed because of Web3 evolution, is being 3 times more aware on the why exactly. And not just the why in the vision, but the why in the vision and the positive impact we can create with it. Because as Sharad was saying, the people are more important every day for the business sustainability. People are starting to support each time more the why behind, the cause behind, the mindset behind the brands, is how I see it. And I might be wrong, but it's also how I believe the world will go to. So we start supporting more those positive impact and mindful builders, as I say. So for transitioning, that's a lovely way to start. And as Akina was saying, also being aware on on the use case. So there's this one practical thing I do for my personal journey, and maybe for other people thinking of coming into Web3 or changing their company into Web3 journey, is watching someone that has a similar vision that you have, and learn from there of what they're doing. How are they dealing with that in the Web3 style? And it's okay that there are some steps farther, because that's how we all learn together. And just an example here, Sharad, Akina, Chris, Nova are a little bit like that for me, because I've been around for just 6 months. And it's a fast way of learning in a safe space and with people you trust. Yes, there's a lot out there, I feel, when transitioning, and that's also why I feel sometimes might feel like far or difficult. But finding those role models or role companies that already have been a couple of years here doing something and learning from those mistakes can ease our path as well. And there is where education based in use cases and like practical education has it's a game changer for inspiring and making Web3 more contagious, less gangy, as Chris was saying, less like Web2 or Web3, but more like contagious. Like we're just we just want to use the path for all, to create positive impact together, is what I believe. I don't know what you guys think on that.
Yeah, can
Am
I
I
just
getting it
add?
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to add something to what you said, Daniela. I think, it doesn't matter Web3, Web30, whatever. It's the nomenclature, right? It's about using technology to benefit people at large. It's about, we keep saying all this time, it's becoming cliche, community is at the heart of Web3. I think, as far as brands are concerned, in the future, they will not be ranked by their market cap, but by their community cap. And what I mean is very simple. I see brands rushing to jump into the metaverse, deciding whether they should buy in Sandbox, what should they build, what NFT loyalty program or rewards program should they launch. Even if you are very good in building the best metaverse platform, you're not going to succeed if you don't have a loyal audience, a community that believes in your purpose, has shared values. If you don't engage and nurture and nourish them, they're going to go away. So brands need to put on this new thinking cap, in my opinion, which is create a community of like-minded people, and create interactions like in the metaverse. You have spatial and you have so many other platforms. You need to experiment, you need to dabble, People are too conservative. They prefer Zoom or whatever else because it's tried and tested. But Web2, these are Web2 tools, right? Zoom is Web2. Spatial is probably Web3. So I encourage brands, go there, create your account, customize a space. We have Jamie Brett who's created an amazing space for us, Meta Shapers. So whether you are a newspaper or you are an event management company, Metaverse is for every industry in every geography, period. So get out there, create an account, experiment, learn, create experiences, get feedback. That's when you will be actually dabbling in the metaverse, and you will have, I think, good experiences to build on. Too many people are too scared of failing, and I say it all the time, it's good to fail. And this is an answer I got from one of the Google innovation heads a few years back in a Dubai international conference. And I remember clearly asking him, what makes Google one of the most innovative companies on the planet? And he thought for a while and said, at Google, we celebrate failure. At Google, we celebrate failure. Think about it. It has a deeper meaning, right? I don't know anybody who celebrates failure. And when I asked him to elaborate on this, he said, in all our regional offices around the world, we have a big gong, like a bell, at our reception. When any person has had a bad experience or an unsuccessful event, he comes to the office, rings the bell, everybody in the office drops what they are doing, they assemble there and listen to this person's story. Why? Because you learn from those. Next time you know what to how to handle it. So I think it's a very good story. It's very practical, and I encourage most companies to try and create some environment like that, and that will help us succeed. So that just came to top of my mind. Thank you.
I think that's an amazing reminder, especially what we're doing now in our space, the new version of the internet. Everything we're doing is experimenting, right? So we got to understand that cryptocurrency, it's experimenting with monetary, issue. Before it was controlled by government, by regulators and banks. Now anyone can create currency. It's experimenting. We're getting it wrong, as we can see with FTX in those scenarios, but we're experimenting. And same thing with metaverse. We're experimenting, living in a different way from reality, right? Still experimenting. A lot of people are against that. They hate that. NFT, we're experimenting with ownership of things. Does it have to be tangible or it can be intangible? Is it digital or is it physical? What does it mean when you own something? What else do we get out of it? Who gets paid for it? The creator, which are being cheated, in the non NFT environment. These things that we're experiencing, we're still learning, and we're failing. And every time we're failing, I don't think we should all cry. I'm sure a lot of people are hurt. I'm not saying that. I'm just we should look at it and say, how do we do it better? How do we not make this mistake? What can regulator, get involved to make sure they protect the mask, right? Bad doers, reckless behavior, irresponsible must be regulated and punished. Sorry, humans are bad. If you don't govern them or give them rules and regulation guidelines, they'll go around and try to get away with things that they can. So this is where we're learning, right? We're all talking about how great Web3 is. It's like I own my data, I have power to myself. It's decentralized, democratized, it's unregulated. Sorry, it's not all hanky dory. It's a learning process. It's the same thing with DAO. I loved Web3 because of DAO. The idea that anyone can start a business together with a bunch of friends, start it with a chat group, and share ideas, share value, and help each other grow. It's an amazing concept, right? So DAO is what? It's experimenting a new way of forming companies, new way of management. Instead of being a triangle, the top people make decisions, everybody follow. You flip the triangle where the majority of people rules, right? Instead of flat now, not a triangle or whatever. So if we understand this whole process we're going through right now, it's experimenting with things we used to, grow up with and said, this is how you do things. It's all about experimenting. So it's okay to make mistakes. and learn from the mistake, improve and improve on. And another thing I want to talk about with you that people always forget is the idea that anything new is possible. People keep telling me, "Oh, a DAO shouldn't be run this way," but tell the truth, DAO is only 2 to 3 years old. Business has been around like 100 years, and we're still reinventing what a business is in terms of evolution, cultures, and new technology. DAO will change in time. It will learn that in the past 2 3 years, all the DAOs we've seen fail miserably because the concept of everybody governed together is an ideal dream, but in reality, it's not practical, right? Because we all know that there's bias, personal agenda, there's colluding, right? There's manipulation, there's bullying, there's all kind of stuff. And it's all about us learning what is a DAO, properly DAO, how a DAO is set up, what helps a DAO. Same thing with crypto, same thing with exchange, same with NFT, same with metaverse. Idea, open-mindedness, it's okay to make mistake, right? Come and build and learn through the process. It might take years.
Wow, I wish I brought like a notepad for this. Like every time you guys speak, I'm like, I can't write down because I'm live, but I would if I could, definitely. And I was thinking something very special, and one of the key things is, as you both were saying, community is so important, and we're also thirsty for that knowledge also, and for the sense of growing together. That is not just about. Oh, look, you have an agreement here. Whoop. Hey, thank you, Priya, for agreeing. But I was thinking, talking about that failure is so special because we're all learning together. And something that popped into my mind that I think is key for moving into this evolution is understanding that at the moment, Web3 may look and feel like an octopus with so many options, and so many options being right now explored that might feel like, well, maybe I can wait for a little bit for others to explore and then walk in. Um, but also, I believe in the concept of smooth swap, which means it doesn't mean you have to go into all the octopus tryouts and go try out yourself first. You can educate yourself first, and your team, and see with your team what of that can apply with a little, with one of the purposes of your company, of one of the things you're trying out. Like it doesn't have to be all at the same time and all in that rush, because the long-term thinking matters the most here, I feel, because you, anyways, mistakes can happen and that's okay. But mostly because I feel that there are a lot of personal skills that also have to be placed in this change. Every type of change, even if it's technical or if it's a team group or any type of change with a group of people, needs to be prepared for it. And because the technology is out there to be used doesn't mean that our team is ready to use it. So that's why I believe it's so important to go into education first, understanding that strategy, which people skills do I as a leader need to implement for them to welcome that change in a better way and not resist to it, or feeling in a more creative, flowing, innovative space than just like, hey team, we're gonna learn about this and then you have to do it because it won't flow. So yeah, so I just wanted to bring those two cents between a smooth swap, thinking that long term, and talking openly about failure, so the community and the team feels in a safe space to explore as well, um, with no FOMO. Like I also, as Nova say, I always say, dial down the FOMO, dial up the purpose, because I think when failure comes, that's what will bring us up together. Like, okay, we'll try again, kind of vibe. So yeah, those were my 2 cents. Chris, Nova, more than welcome to say some closure words. Thank you so much for everyone that has been around us for the past hour. It's been amazing. I'm bringing the notepad in the next session. Like, it's okay. I'll take notes.
I have my notepad right here, so I'm a note taker. I'm a note taker. Thank you so much, Daniela and Chris and WEYU Academy for having me. And it was a special treat because I got to see some friends as well and hang out with some friends for an hour, Akina and Sharad as well. I would just like to say, for those that are listening, no matter what stage you're in Web 2, Web 1, Web 3, dip your toe in the water. Like, don't, I feel even when we're in Web3, I'm putting that in quotes because we just know that it's really how the internet is evolving, right? So even there, we get stuck into one silo, and there's so much out there. When I started playing with AI art, wow, talk about mind blown. And now looking at AI in other areas as well as it relates to creativity and what can be done with that. But starting in crypto, like that's where I started, was crypto and blockchain and tokenization and going to DAOs and working with DAOs, working within a DAO. Akina, human nature is human nature. You can't beat human nature. But there's so much to learn, and that's what's so exciting. Sharad had mentioned people, but if you love to learn, if you love to grow, if you like creativity, if you like innovation, if you like imagination, this is where it's at. And imagine meeting people with the same mindset and then all of you playing in the sandbox together. I mean, let's go back to third grade, right? Like, who didn't enjoy the recess in third grade? I mean, this is what it's like. And so I just say, if you're 17, 13, I know I have a 16-year-old, I have older children. I'm not going to say how old they are. But, my encouragement, no matter where you are, how old you are, just dip your toe in the water. And that might just be asking a question. There's 5 people here on screen that you could reach out to just to ask a question. And I just encourage that. Just start there. You don't have to climb to the top of the mountain today or tomorrow, but at least look into it, at least explore. I'm available on LinkedIn. Give me a little patience to get back to you because my inbox is crazy. But I'm happy to answer any questions. I thoroughly enjoyed this. You know how passionate I am about education and access. So thank you, Daniela, for extending the invitation and for having me.
Awesome, and I'd like to thank all of you guys. This is a wonderful conversation and very relative to obviously what me and Daniela and the team are building. I think within the next few weeks, the answer to the question of what you should do if you're a Web2 brand flowing into Web3 is to come to the WEYU Academy first. We will show you the way, and you'll be able to navigate this crazy, wacky place that isn't very scary and is full of wonderful people like you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. And Daniela, like always, thanks for putting these things together. It's a blast, and no matter what, I've been in the space forever, and it's my every waking moment. But I learn from all of these people every single time we have conversations. So yeah, good one, guys, and thanks.
Just allow me, please, 30 seconds to extend an invitation to all of you to join our next webinar on 15th November. We are discussing climate solutions in Web3. I believe one of the most important conversations in our lifetime. Our 3 panelists are going to be reporting live from COP27 in Egypt. So check in. It's at 8 a.m. ET. You got to go to onlywebinars.com and register. If you are busy, still register because you'll receive a recording and a podcast. Like I said, one of the most important conversations of our lifetime, climate change.
Love it. Thank you so much. Very important. Sorry, what?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I had a great blast talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much for being awake. It's so late for Akina. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate that. And yeah, going to with the call of Sharad. Also, our next talk is next Thursday. We have 3 amazing surprise speakers about key learnings to launch an NFT collection. So welcome all. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate everyone here, and I appreciate the time of the people watching us today.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great evening or day wherever you're from.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.